Yo, what is up guys? It's Pedro here, and in today's video I want to talk about Jonathan Allen and Daron Payne, why they need to step up this season if the Washington Commanders want to make some noise at the end of the season. If you guys are new, make sure to subscribe, hit that like button and that notification bell as well so you never miss a video. And no, I'm not saying Jonathan Allen and Daron Payne have been terrible this year, but they have been a little bit underwhelming, and now that the Commanders traded Montez Sweat and Chase Young, the guys that were the most productive in terms of sack numbers, they traded them. Now you got Daron Payne and Jonathan Allen, who are both getting around $20 million plus a year. I mean, Jonathan Allen's deal I think was around 18, but now, you know, in the later years of the deal, it's going to be about 20, and Daron Payne's over 20. So these guys are getting paid a lot of money, and they need to step up if the Washington Commanders want a chance to make the playoffs. That's just how it is. And the last few weeks of the season, you know, I think they've been pretty disappointing. I mean, you go up against the New England Patriots, who have backups, you know, as their offensive linemen, and guys have been struggling. They didn't record a single QB hit, tackle for loss, or sack against the Patriots. Against the Giants, a sorry offensive line. Like, there was two of those guys that were practice squad guys that got signed to the practice squad that week. Our defensive line was not getting pressure. Besides Chase Young, who had 2 sacks, really there wasn't a lot of pressure. I don't know who else had one. I mean, maybe Jonathan Allen, Daron Payne had like 1 sack, but I just didn't see enough pressure from those guys against a team like the Giants, who just had a terrible offensive line. Let's look at Jonathan Allen's stats this year. He has 3 sacks, 4.5 stuffs. You see the stuff yards around 9 yards, 16 solo tackles, 30 total tackles. So his numbers are definitely lower than what they were last year in terms of what he's on pace for. He's on pace for fewer tackles, fewer sacks, fewer forced fumbles. I mean, he had an interception last year, but that usually doesn't happen. And then, batting down passes as well, and then kind of tackles for loss as well. And it's not even that. It would be different if, you look at the eye test and it's a little bit different, but like, he hasn't been getting a lot of pressures as well. That's another thing. Like, he hasn't been dominating games like he used to. Like, you look at this year right here, where is it? Like, this year, that's 2020 year. He only had 2 sacks, but he was a very good football player, really dominant against the run, and he was getting pressures. He was setting up guys like Chase Young and Montez Sweat up for sacks. And then after that, the sacks came 9, 7.5. So like, sometimes you can be very good still without getting sacks, but I haven't seen that from Jonathan Allen, even when going up against, guys that are not great, that are like, if you are Jonathan Allen, a multi-time Pro Bowl defensive lineman, you should be absolutely dominating practice squad guys. And I don't care if they double team or triple team you, they're practice squad players. Yes, they're still in the NFL, but you're getting paid $20+ million a year. You got to step up. And same thing with Daron Payne. I mean, Daron Payne had a heck of a year last year. I mean, a great year. Let me just pull up his stats. I mean, he had 11.5 sacks, double-digit sacks for a defensive lineman is huge. And you know what? He got paid, and this year, I thought he started off the year, I was like, wow, man, this guy has been outstanding. And then recently, it's been disappointing. Like, more disappointing, honestly, for him than it has been for Jonathan Allen. He's played 9 games, on pace for way fewer tackles. Way fewer tackles, way fewer sacks. I mean, 11.5 to 1, so he's on pace for 2 sacks. The forced fumbles are up by a lot, which is good. Those are game-changing plays. He's batted down about on pace for about the same as last year. Stuffs are a little bit up. He's been okay in the run game, but I was expecting a little bit more from Daron Payne this year in terms of getting to the quarterback after we paid him a lot of money. And one thing I do want to say, I forgot to say this earlier, Jonathan Allen has been dealing with an injury, a plantar fasciitis. I know I'm mispronouncing that, but it's a lingering injury. I think he, suffered it. He got injured in training camp or, preseason around that time, and that injury lingers. It lingers for a long time. So I understand why he hasn't been as productive as he usually is, and I'm assuming that's why. I'm assuming the injury is the reason he hasn't been as productive That's the most logical explanation for it, but still would like to see him play a little bit better than he has been, but it is a little bit understandable. But Daron Payne, he had a little, finger dislocation, but I mean, he should be fine. So that's kind of, I don't know. I think Daron Payne needs to step up more than Jonathan Allen does. Again, not only is he getting paid more, but he's also not really dealing with injuries. And you look at Daron Payne's stats. I mean, he never had a big sack year until his contract year. I mean, he had 5 sacks, 2 sacks, 3 sacks, 4.5, and then 11.5. So last year could have been a little bit an outlier, could have been okay, I need to get paid this year, let me get some sacks, or it could have just been a great year by him. But this year, he needs to step up. Second half of the year, needs to step up. If you're not getting sacks, that's fine. Get some more pressures, and at times he has been doing that, but not as much as I would like him to. So that is something that we need to see from Daron Payne and Jonathan Allen these next few weeks. The season when you're playing teams like the Seahawks, where it's going to be a tough game. You need these guys to step up because, the Seahawks got good receivers. So if you give Geno Smith time to sit back and pass, those guys are going to, beat some of our guys in the secondary. So if these guys don't get home quick, it's going to be bad for our defense. And then you play a team like the Giants. I mean, you don't need them to you don't need them to absolutely ball out to beat the Giants, but you'll love a dominant game by this defensive line, interior defensive line. Again, you traded Montez Sweat and Chase Young. A lot of fans were like, those guys didn't produce. Okay, that's fine. Even though they were our best defensive line this year, okay, you want to trade them, that's fine. But these guys this whole year really haven't been stepping up, and they got paid. So I know people don't like when I talk negative about this team, but I just want to keep it real. Like, these guys got paid, and they really need to step up, especially Daron Payne, who isn't really dealing with an injury that I know of. I mean, I know all players are banged up at this point of the season. They're dealing with something, but, Jonathan Allen's dealing with a serious injury, so that's probably why he's not as quick and, just as good as he usually is. So give Jonathan Allen a little bit of pass, maybe. At the end of the season, it'll be a little bit better for him. But again, it's a lingering injury. It's going to take a long time for him to recover. Probably won't fully recover until the start of next season. But Daron Payne, man, we got to get some more sacks, or at least some more pressures. It's not all about sacks, but yeah, that's kind of it for that. For that discussion right there. I don't know if you guys saw Montez Sweat had a solid game against the Carolina Panthers. I love how the national narratives changes. Like, no one talks about him, and then he goes to the Bears, and then everyone's talking about how good of a player he is. He was okay. He had 8. I mean, he had 8 pressures, which is good. A couple of them were unblocked. He had a good game. I mean, we knew Montez Sweat was a good player. They paid him a lot of money. I think it was $24-25 million a year. Kind of what we expected, but still a lot of money. And the Commanders just really, it would have been hard for them to do that. So I'm fine them getting a high second-round pick for him. I think it'll end up being a good move for them. Hopefully they actually do something with that second round pick and are able to capitalize on it, get a good player. We'll see with the Chase Young trade. I still don't agree with it. I think he's playing, I think this weekend. I don't know when they're playing or who the 49ers are playing, but excited to see Chase Young for sure. So that's it for today's video. Hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, hit that like button, subscribe if you guys are new, and tomorrow the Commanders are playing the Seattle Seahawks 405 or 425, and we'll have a post-game reaction for you guys. Peace, guys.